All right, we have Maya Rucker on today. She is a loan officer at Gold Star Mortgage. She recently helped me close on one of my properties, so I wanted to have her on and ask her some questions today. Welcome aboard, Maya.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul. And it was a pleasure to help you with your property. And I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a loan officer, and what's your background in?
So I've been a loan officer now for a little over 4 years. And my background is actually in healthcare.
Okay.
I am a registered nurse. And honestly, a few years ago around COVID, my brother owns the company that I work for, so he's been doing really good for a while. And I just said, "Hey, brother, can I do the same thing that you're doing? Because you seem to be doing pretty good. Like I became a nurse. Like I thought my whole entire life was gonna change for like be so amazing." And it wasn't quite what I thought. So he said yes, I got my license. And ever since then, I've been just doing loans. I actually was able to quit my nursing job within 9 months and do mortgages full time. And since then, that's what I've been doing full time because I actually am still helping people, so the nursing part of me is satisfied. I'm still helping people and people are gaining an asset because of me. And I just really consider myself a coach. Like I just coach people through loans.
Awesome. And I think we really clicked. And my realtor sent me to you because you're able to do a little bit of creative things, even though we were still using a traditional mortgage. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So getting into that, there is a new loan product that I took advantage of, and I would love to talk to you more about it. With this 2 to 4 unit multifamily owner occupied loan. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So, and it actually, did recently come out. So we have the conventional 5% down investment property owner occ loan. So previously, if you wanted to buy a 2 to 4 unit and live in it, you still had to put down 15% and then possibly 25 if it was a 4 unit. So I think honestly, the conventional people kind of came out with this because FHA has a 3.5% down for a 2 to 4 unit. So I think they were trying to kind of compete. And now they have 5% down for any 2 to 4 unit that you want to purchase. And the key is you do have to live in it.
Yes. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the difference between the FHA 3.5% down and the conventional 5% down, and why the conventional fits a lot of properties that the FHA doesn't.
Okay. So FHA loan versus conventional. The basics. FHA is a government loan. So with a government loan, you will have more, strict guidelines to adhere by when it comes to the appraisal. Um, don't get me wrong, conventional, we will have some of the same, guidelines with conventional because if it's a safety issue when it comes to appraisal, like they will, mark it off, this needs to be fixed. But the main thing is when you go with conventional, it's a little, I mean, I don't really know if I should say this, but it's a little bit um less, it's a little easier, let's just say it's a little easier
Yeah.
to get through an appraisal conventionally and have it be what we like to see as is and not subject to.
Right. It's just a little bit more lenient in the things that you can get through within a conventional loan. I mean, I've been looking at plenty of investment properties and owner occupied properties, and a lot of what you see in 2 to 4 units on the market are just not going to pass an FHA inspection or an FHA appraisal. So when you
Yeah.
might be able to get away with that with a conventional. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So the main thing with FHA is handrails, chipping paint, um, anything that looks damaged. If it looks damaged, you really want to fix it. GCI outlets, you know, some of these things are minor, but I mean, if you have a bunch of them, then it can add up. But I mean, with conventional, like a lot of these loans, like I mean, appraisals, it'll just kind of it'll be like as is, no problem,
yeah, and it's still
except
move-in
chipping
ready.
paint.
What's that?
Yeah, except chipping paint.
Yeah,
Because I actually had a conventional come back with subject to chipping paint. So chipping paint, I think, is a safety issue for both of them.
mm,
But yeah, and a lot of these 2 to 4 units, when they're listed, they're not listed, for FHA
yeah,
because they have been lived in and they may not be completely gutted and rehabbed.
yeah, and that's what you really need with an FHA loan, complete renovation. Unless you're going with like an FHA 203K loan, which is a whole beast in itself. I don't know if you
Yeah,
really want to get into that, but that could be a whole
yeah.
episode in itself. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a that's a who.
yeah. Well, maybe we could talk about that some other time. But
Okay.
yeah, so really let's go over some of the let's not do this that I did in this loan that can save you.
Oh,
So
this is Paul, you set the record.
yeah, I like to try to get creative and I stepped over a few boundaries that I knew I was might have bit me and they did, but we still closed. So
Yes, we did.
so what was the
And
big
you
no-no
were
that I did that you should not do when you're getting a loan of any kind?
okay. When you are getting a loan for a house, you do not want to buy another house. But yeah, so you know what? I understand, why you did what you did because you are a savvy investor. You saw a deal you could not pass up, and technically you were doing it the right way. You were doing a DSCR, which it's not supposed to populate on your credit. So it didn't populate on your credit, but it came up at the end when we did a search and then we found your name on that property. So then we were like, uh-oh, what's going on? And then I was like, did Paul buy a house? I was like, he didn't tell me. So, um, and you did, but I understand
Yeah.
why.
Yeah,
It
you
was a
called me on
better
the way
deal
back
than
from called me on the way back from North Carolina and you're like, "Hey." And I'm like, "Yeah."
when you were like, yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this has got to be a mistake. I'm like, I haven't had anyone buy a house. But anyhow,
Yeah,
yeah, if it like you said, if it would have are you editing this?
I can.
Okay. I didn't know like how much to say or what,
Yeah, I'm trying not
So
to edit, but yeah.
okay. So, if your DSCR loan would have closed in your LLC like you had anticipated, we probably would not have seen that.
Yeah. And that was the goal. And we talked about yeah, like I had to. It was either in my name or I lose the deal. But
Yeah.
yeah, so still, if you can help it, don't go buying another property while you're under, a loan to buy your own house, especially a primary residence. So um
Yes.
and other than that, like how did we jump through those hurdles and still get this deal closed?
So, we took like a deeper dive into, your already owned properties, making sure we were getting all the rental income that you claim on your taxes. And also, what we did was we can take your leases for the new property and add that in as income for you to offset that new payment, because that's really what we were trying to do. Offset the new payment and make sure that the DTI and everything was good.
Yeah, so with rental income, how much of your rental income can actually qualify for against your DTI?
So here's the thing, like if it's if you it depends on how long you've been renting out the property. So if you've been renting out for a year, we're going to look for it on your taxes. Okay. So everybody knows on your taxes, like there are times when of course, you have losses. You're a business owner.
Hmm.
So we may not be able to count 100%, or not 100%, because what we do is we count 75%, but we may not be able to even count the 75% if you don't claim that on your taxes. So if it's less than a year, then we could go ahead and take 75% of the leases that you have in place.
Okay, cool. And while we're on this topic, let's get back into that 2 to 4 unit. Say somebody is their debt to income ratio is just a little bit off. Is there a way that we can use some rental income to qualify them for a 2 to 4 unit?
Absolutely. So especially like if this is your first time, or if it's not, what we can do is when you're purchasing this new property, we can take the projected new rental income that's coming in, and we can base it off of the the appraisal, because the appraisal has the fair market rent in it.
Okay.
So we can use that, to figure out those numbers.
Now, is that specifically with your company, or is that something that is going to be vary depending on different mortgage and loan, different mortgage companies?
I think it's pretty much the same across the board.
Okay.
Because we follow Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines since we are a broker. Like
Okay.
we sell our loans in the secondary market, so it has to be up to certain standards and certain guidelines.
Gotcha. Do you guys keep anything in house or do you sell everything off?
Um, we actually started holding some of the loans, but I haven't seen too many.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you talked about this. You wanted to flip this around and ask me some questions as well.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So let me get my little sheets, my little cheat sheets. Okay, so Paul, I would like to know, what was the process like when you were working with me?
Oh, actually, it was really great. There was some times that we had to get on you though, mostly to get on the person that was, helping close the loan out, Ben. But it was smooth though. When we called you or texted you, you answered. You're very knowledgeable and were able to help me through many of the hurdles that I did for myself. I made those problems myself, but you helped me get through them. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. And honestly, like you were amazing. Like you were Johnny on the spot. Like whenever we needed anything, we got it right away. Like I didn't have to wait days. I had it like within minutes.
yeah.
And then how important is it for you or for a buyer to have a good lender on their team?
So important. A lot of these like big brokerage houses, and you're going to have people calling you trying to get your business and promise you way lower rates than they're going to be able to give you. And you're going to leave someone like Maya or someone else really good that knows what they're doing and is very knowledgeable to chase this lower rate. And 3 weeks, a month down the road, you're not going to be able to close because maybe since they couldn't get you that rate, your DTI was too high, and now you're um, not going to be able to close on this property. And now you either lose the deal or you have to start a new loan process with someone that is very knowledgeable. So working with a professional, even if it's not the best rate, is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell people all the time, like, I if somebody calls me and they tell me a rate, I can beat anybody. But the difference between me and them is I'm going to let you know how much it costs for that interest rate, because that's one of the things that a lot of lenders don't do is they'll say, "Oh, yeah, oh, you want to okay, I can get you a 6.25, you know, 6.257 whatever." And what happens is you get that loan estimate, they lock the rate, you get that loan estimate, and then you find out, yeah, that 6.275 costs $10,000.
Right? Because you have to pay those points up front.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I do try to explain that to people up front, and I've lost a couple people because I did,
Hmm.
but some of them have came back and said, "Yeah, they charged me 15,000." Yeah,
Yeah.
that's that's things people don't understand. But okay, anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then you purchased in Illyria, right?
Yes.
Okay. So why did you purchase your duplex in Illyria?
So the biggest reason I purchased my duplex in Elyria is I am an investor, so I look at this as it's going to eventually be an investment property. Um my goal with this property was to get into this property with as least amount of money as I could and still make sure it's going to cash flow. So I bought in a cheaper area in Elyria so that between the rent upstairs and I actually do have somebody living with me in my 2-1 as well when I move in. I will actually make money living in this property. Maybe break even depending on how utilities are, but I bought there and I bought in Elyria because it's a lot easier to cash flow in Elyria or like Lorraine than if you're trying to buy a duplex in some of the other surrounding cities like Avon, Westlake, or some of the
Or
more expensive markets. So
okay, yeah, so that's really smart. Like you're gonna be living for free.
yes, so that is called house hacking.
Yes, it is an amazing, amazing thing. Okay, so if someone is nervous about investing, what advice would you give them and about, just getting started?
Um, I would say you really need to look at the real estate market every day. And I'm not just talking about open realtor.com and look at all the new houses. I'm talking about figure out what type of house you're looking to buy, whether that is a duplex like I bought or a single family house, and even narrow it down farther to like, okay, I'm looking for a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and start looking at that exact type of property every single day. And you're going to start seeing market trends and the market shift one way or the other, as well as interest rates shifting one way or the other. Um, and you're going to be so much more confident in yourself to pull the trigger on offering on a property because now you know what the average property goes for in your buy box. And then once you know that and you're seeing it over and over and over again, it's going to be just second nature. Like you're going to be spending less and less time every day looking at new properties because it's so going to be so easy to comp those properties and to run their numbers on those properties. So when it is time to put an offer in, um, you'll be ready. And I'd say do this even before you have your full down payment and you're really ready to buy. Because when you do this, when you do have that down payment, now you have all of that knowledge that you've built up. And it's going to make it so much easier.
Yeah, that's actually amazing advice. I love that.
Awesome. And I do want to
Yep.
go back to your very first question. Because I had this property going with a loan, and I had the one in North Carolina. I counted this up. I had 174 calls from brokerages or loan houses calling me trying to take my business from you and my business from my other property.
Oh my God, are you
Yes.
kidding me?
Yes. I've always had that, but it's even worse now because, well, as you know, it's a lot harder to, there's a lot few loans being written now than there was 2, 3 years ago, just because of interest rates mainly, and there's less houses on the market. So now a lot of people aren't
Wow.
qualifying. So
Wow. That is insane. I cannot
yes.
believe that. I wish there was something that we could do about that
Yeah,
because like they're like spammers.
they are. Um, and I'll talk, I mean, some of them I'll filter their calls and I'll take them just to hear what they have to say. And then they try to start talking you into like refinances on your other property. Or like, what do you need, a pool or a garage? And I'm like, no, I don't need more debt on my house. Like they're anything they could possibly do to try to talk you into closing on any loan product they have. I would say run from those people. I don't care. Run from those loan officers because they're trying to just close a loan. They're not trying to put you in the best situation.
Yeah, and honestly, that is one thing that I definitely like. I'm like, at the end of the day, like, if we get to the closing table and you're like, you know what? I made a mistake. I can't do this. I won't follow through. Okay, fine. Because at the end of the day, like, I need to be able to sleep.
Yeah,
Like, I wouldn't even be pushing a refi on anybody right now.
doesn't
Like,
make sense.
it doesn't make sense unless they have $1 trillion worth of debt that they can pay off and it'll cut down their monthly debt that they have to pay out of pocket. That's the only way, but like still you don't even want to refi just to pay down your debt. Like that's wow,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
crazy.
I mean, unless you know, have a rate that's already practically where you're refinancing, which most people in that case don't have equity in their property that got a mortgage the last year and a half. So you're leaving what I would say is the biggest asset you have is your interest rate on your house if you bought 3 to 10 plus years ago. So you have
Yeah,
a lower interest rate and you're not going to get that now. That's an asset that people
yeah,
have. So
yeah, yeah. When people call me talking about they have a 2.9, a 3. I'm like, don't even talk to me. You're not refining. Like
right.
you stick with that until you sell the house. Like you don't refi. That
or
it
you or
doesn't
you
make
or
sense.
you try to get a home equity line of credit or an installment loan or something against your property,
Yeah,
preferably fixed, but that's on you. But if
yeah.
you really need debt or you really need money that bad and you have equity in your property, that would be your route if you could do that. Don't refi a 4% or under mortgage rate now.
No, no. I tell everybody like, nope, not time to talk. And actually, like anybody in the twos, like the rates will never ever be back there. So
We're
you
never
might
seeing
as well
that.
just keep
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you just keep that forever
Yep. Yeah. And don't
until you don't owe.
this is completely on what people are doing with their money, but I would say don't ever pay extra principal down on that either because you're just paying down free money. That's free money you're giving away. Like inflation is so much higher than that right now. You are throwing away money if you're paying down your principal faster. Put that in a high yield savings account that's making you 5%. Like
There you go. There you go. That
so
totally sounds, yeah, that's great advice, Paul.
yeah. Do you have any other questions for me?
Nope, that was it.
Awesome. Well, before we jump off, is there any last bit of advice you have for our viewers here? And what would you tell somebody that's looking to buy a house right now? Like, what should they be looking for?
Okay, so right now is actually the perfect time to buy a house because I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen. In a few more months, everybody's going to be trying to buy. And in the meantime, rates are starting to decline, right?
Hmm.
So when rates decline, how housing prices increase. So the same house that you can buy right now, you can buy it cheaper than if you wait. Why is my dog barking? Then then if you if you wait. And rates are slotted to drop 3 times this year. So by the end of the year, they're going to be even lower. And the competition is really about to be back out there when we're talking about 10, 20, 30, 40K over again. Now, if you want to get into investing, I highly suggest that you look at a loan like Paul did and do the 5% down for conventional. This will get you in and this will get you your foot in the door in investing because you will become a landlord because you'll be living in the property, but you'll have to maintain it for other residents. And then you can house hack and live for free. And honestly, if you're living for free, what you could do is take the money that you would pay for your rent and then put that in a savings account every month. Still pay your rent, put it in a savings account, and then within a year or so, you could possibly looking at buying another property.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you could the house hacking thing, you need to live in the property for 1 year,
Hmm.
so after a year see what you have saved up and then try to do it again.
Yeah, and you can do it again. You can go and move into another duplex. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, there are a few stipulations on less than a year, like if you had to move out of state. But like, don't get into a duplex 5% down and not live there. That is mortgage fraud, and you're gonna be in trouble if you get caught.
yes, I tell people that all the time. They're like, well, yeah, if I say I live there, I said, I'm too cute to go to jail, and that's mortgage fraud.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, you have to live there. You absolutely have to live there for at least a year.
yeah, definitely. Um, well, I really do appreciate you coming on. This was great, and I think this is the best strategy for any new landlord trying to just get in the game into investing. You learn so much from doing this. Uh, and well, your tenants right next door, which is great. as long as you put a good tenant right next door. So
Yes.
yeah. Okay, well, thanks for jumping on, Maya. And if people wanted to reach out to you, how can they do that?
They can just call me on my cell phone, 216-466-4970. I work all the time. I work in the evenings, I work on the weekends. I'm a little different than your average 9 to 5 loan officer.
I got a hold of you 7 days a week. You were always responding. It was great. It didn't matter if it
Yes.
was in the morning or 7 and 8 o'clock at night. So, and I will
Yes.
drop your number and I'll put your email in the description of this video so people who are have it easier, easy to find it. So,
Okay, thank you so
all
much,
right.
Paul. This was fun, and I'm so excited that you had a great experience with me and your house hacking, you're living in your investment property, and everything worked out for your North Carolina property as well.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I stopped the recording.